have two speakers from Silicon Valley. He is Chris McCann from Digest, and she is Edith Yeung from the Birth Tech Day. Well, they have in common that they created two startups, and they are focused on events. But they have a very difference. What is the difference between your startup and your startup?
Yeah, so Startup Digest, so we're more of like a media publication, so we tell you about the best startup events in your city. So things like hackathons and meetups and things just like this. So we tell people about that in their city, all tech startup related. So we're not actually producing events, we're just featuring what's going on in your city.
You recommend events?
Yeah, exactly.
And you, Edith?
Yeah, so BizTech Day I started now I think 3 years ago. It was really about bringing different startup entrepreneurs together, focus on business technology. It's been around for about now 3 years, and so I actually produce the events, and that's how turned into many others, the startup that now I work with. So let's say the founder of Dolphin Browser came to BizTech Day. That's how I met them. So now I'm very into mobile startups, all mobile. And then also Jonathan Siegel, who also came to my event. Now we are together focused on investing in cloud and mobile startups under the name Right Ventures.
And you came from China with not a very high level of English.
No, yeah. So
how you can survive?
I originally from Hong Kong, born and raised. My first language is Cantonese and then Mandarin. And when I first moved to the US, I did not understand any American jokes. Whatever Americans say, I don't think is funny. And it took a long time, at least 3 or 4 years to get to the point. I'm like, oh, I get it now. So now I would say in some way, in business term, I actually think in English.
But but without having a high level of English, you could make a business.
Yeah, there's many years later. I think that just like you said, a lot of Spanish entrepreneurs maybe thinking about going to Silicon Valley. Really is just don't be afraid to talk, or don't be afraid of not getting the joke. Still just like be yourself and talk to them in the business setting. And you take a few years, but I think like yourself, you speak excellent English, much better than I did when I first started. So. And
my second question is how is to be an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley? Because here we see Silicon Valley like the paradise.
Yeah.
So how is to work there and to have a startup there and a success startup there?
Yeah, I guess we're biased because so we're located in Silicon Valley, so we work and live out of Palo Alto, California, which is where Stanford University is. But we also have Digest in 67 cities. So we have one here in Madrid, and Tokyo, and Paris, and London, and all over the place. So you can definitely create a startup anywhere. I mean, now because of like Amazon EC2 and cloud services and like everything out there, like it's pretty much low to no cost to start something. The only thing Silicon Valley has above anywhere else is the density of people. Like when you go to just like a random coffee shop in Palo Alto, there will literally be like everybody in there will be like on laptops, like coding or like pitching their companies or talking to investors, and you sort of go there and like if you're not interested in startups or not doing startup stuff, it's almost like you're sort of the weird one. Versus in most places, it's the other way around. If you're doing the startup stuff, you're kind of the weird one and everybody else is doing the normal. In Silicon Valley, it just tends to be reversed. So because of the density, like you just see a lot more stuff going on there. I don't know if you have anything to...
I think Silicon Valley is a paradise for geeks. and all geeks will feel at home. And
I have to go, so
yeah. It's very true. Like where I'm from originally, from Hong Kong, it's not common to start your own business. It seems like very risky, and my culture really is very conservative. And doing something on your own, not knowing your future, don't have a steady paycheck, it just seems very strange. But in Silicon Valley, that culture is very accepting. That you are eating ramen. Everybody are eating ramen at the same time, and so it's completely okay that people understand what you're going through. And a lot of culture in other countries seems like to me, and where I'm from originally, is the same way. It's not, they don't, your family or your friends, they will look at you and say, why do you do that? So in the Valley, I think is a very common thing that everybody does it. What's wrong with you if you don't have your own startup?
That's the difference between our culture and his culture. But when you, for example, Chris, when you talk to your family and to your private circle and said, "Well, I'm going to make a startup,"
yeah.
What did they do?
It's funny. So when I graduated, I literally put all my stuff in my car and drove to Palo Alto, and that was sort of like how I got started. I didn't know anybody up there. It was completely new. So when I told my parents right after I was doing this right after college, I think they sort of expected me that I was gonna go back home in like a couple of months, that I wasn't gonna succeed at all, and they were gonna be paying for me. Like, okay, like you'll work without pay. Like that doesn't make any sense. I guess also keep in mind, like the U.S. is a big place. Like my parents and family are sort of from more of like Los Angeles area. So they're like Hollywood and movie stars, like that sort of stuff is big. But even there, like tech startup stuff is a little weird too. So I don't. My parents are kind of okay. They're like, oh, you can do whatever you want, like be happy. But I think in the back of their mind, like they didn't think I was gonna like do anything and I was gonna be back at home.
Well, you recommend us to be risky to get success?
Of course.
Okay. No doubt about that. No.
I mean, if that's something like you sort of know if it's right for you. I mean, if you want to do, like, if you want to be part of high growth, if you want to start something yourself, if you not want to know like where your paycheck is coming from, and you're sort of okay with that, like you should. And you should probably do it younger rather than later. Like younger when you don't have a house, and you're not married, you don't have kids, and you could go back home if you really failed. Well, like that's sort of the time to do it. It makes it much harder, like if you have a family and you have a stable job, like because then like the pain of failure is just so much higher. So I mean, if this is what you're into, sure.
Okay, we all of us are going to follow you. To follow you and to be risky, to try to get success. Thank you very much for being here talking to FICOD TV. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Gracias.